Across the state and really in the rest of the country, people are celebrating Juneteenth today. The holiday marks June 19th, 1865, when enslaved people on Galveston Island were the first in Texas to learn about the Emancipation Proclamation, ending slavery 2.5 years after it was signed into law. Recent polling from the Barbara Jordan Public Policy Research and Survey Center at Texas Southern University in Houston finds only 25% of Texans say that they know a great deal about the holiday. Joining us now to talk more about that poll is Dr. Michael Adams. Dr. Adams, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
So your polling actually found that 41% of Texans say they know a fair amount about Juneteenth, right? But that means 34% said they only know a little bit or nothing at all about Juneteenth. What's the takeaway here?
Yeah, it's important given the fact that I've been in Houston for more than 43 years and going back to the 1980s, where the late state representative Al Edwards, he would often have this big jubilee at the convention center here in Houston. And so we've had Juneteenth celebrations in Houston, but in 2021, it became a federal holiday. And so we wanted to survey Texans to see what they knew about the holiday and did it matter, and also to try to look at questions that we could get at the enduring legacy of slavery. And given the political environment and the anti-DEI and some of the movements, we wanted to ascertain in terms of what Texans felt about the holiday, whether it should be celebrated. And we had questions in there whether slavery, should impact what's happening today to African Americans, and some of the findings they were revealing. However, it was slanted along race, and in our survey, it was 13% Black Texans of registered voters, and we oversampled the population. Clearly, they had more knowledge about the Juneteenth holiday, and also they concluded that slavery still impacts the position of Black people in America today. And so those were some of the major takeaways.
Yeah, you mentioned a little bit about who you surveyed. Tell us how many people you all surveyed and how you talked to them.
Yes, 1,200 registered Texas voters, and we use YouGov as a poll. In this particular module, we wanted to know about the Juneteenth holiday, and the margin of error was 2%, and which that's really good.
Pretty small. It's funny because I grew up in Houston, as our viewers know. I think I've always known about Juneteenth, right? And so is it racial? Is it generational? Tell us about how the numbers break down when we look at ethnicity and also age.
Yeah, well, clearly, as I mentioned earlier, Black Texans were more likely to be knowledgeable about it. Just 31% of white Texans, 38% of Texans agree that slavery, for example, is there. But I think there's some hope. There's optimism. Gen Z, they lead in terms of historical awareness about Texas. Young Texans are more likely than older generations to recognize the ongoing effect of slavery and support the visibility of the Juneteenth holiday. And that was promising.
Yeah, that is really interesting. Particularly when you hear so much rhetoric, right, about woke, and when you hear some of those types of terms to describe, younger Texans, overall the significance about whether or not, this history needs to be taught. You guys really talked about the legacy of Juneteenth. What's your big takeaway there?
Yeah, the legacy of Juneteenth, I think, is important. We're like 12 generations out from the end of 1865, for example. Where are we now if we look at socioeconomic conditions? We know that there's a wealth gap, for example. And also, if we look at some of the socio and the political dynamics that are going on in our country today, and I think we should take notice of that and to have these discussions. But again, to know that Juneteenth is American history, it's not just Black history, and that would be one of the major takeaways that I would like to see.
Absolutely. Dr. Michael Adams with Texas Southern University, we thank you so much for taking some time out to talk with us today.
Thank you for having me. Bye.